Hello, everyone. It's Brian. Welcome back to Smithsfest Part 3 of 8 parts, ranking all Smiths tracks. And again, apologies for this weird lighting. My basement has, no matter where I go, strange lighting, so this is kind of weird. In any case, I've received some comments, and yeah, I don't think I've really irritated anybody yet, so we'll see. This will be tracks 54 to 45. And yeah, I'd be interested in hearing your comments as always, if you think I'm way off or if you agree with me. And as usual, I would say that, what's going to happen is I'm going to likely rank someone's favorite Smith song near the bottom, but what can you do about that? So let's get going. Number 54 is a track called You Just Haven't Earned It Yet, Baby, which evidently was slated to be released as a single in North America, but never happened. So it was included on a couple things like these things which I've shown you many times. This was included there. So this is a song I actually really like, and I should say that I do like all Smith songs, just that some are obviously lower than others. But yeah, really great song. Really like the music. The lyrics are a bit repetitive. Morrissey sings over and over again. You just haven't earned it yet, baby. You just haven't earned it yet, baby. And it's fine. By the way, Kirsty MacColl sang a cover version of this, the late Kirsty MacColl, which was actually okay. One thing that's interesting about it is it's hard to tell if he's singing about himself or someone else. You just haven't earned it yet, baby. So when he says, if you're wondering why all the love that you long for eludes you and people are rude and cruel to you, I'll tell you why. And he says, you just haven't earned it yet, baby. But later in the song, he sings, if you're wondering why, when all I wanted from life to be was when all I wanted from life was to be famous, I have tried for so long, it's all gone wrong. And that's quintessential Morrissey right there. He's tried and failed. He's not famous and he wants to be. Today I am remembering the time when they pulled me back and held me down and looked me in the eyes and said, you just haven't earned it yet, baby. There's a lot of that recurs through his lyrics, of course, and I always think about the fact that he claimed that radio never played Smith songs, never played Morrissey songs, that he wasn't getting promoted by a record label, so that sort of all fits in with the Morrissey worldview. Number 53 is a track from The Queen is Dead, which is a masterpiece, my favorite Smiths record of all time. I think New Musical Express said it was the best record ever back in 2013. This is a fantastic record, my favorite one. The Queen is Dead apparently comes from a line in the book Last Exit to Brooklyn. I've not read that, never seen the film. It also appears in a number of places. It's on the flip side of the Panic 12-inch single. So I may have ranked this song a little too high. It probably should have been lower in the list, but I like the album so much that it kind of floated a little higher up. It's a jaunty track. I think Johnny Marr called it a throwaway track. It's kind of a comedic relief. And the lyrics just aren't deep. It's about a vicar wearing a tutu. He comes sliding down the banister. It's just, I kind of wish they put a different track on here, because some excellent singles came out after this, and I think maybe they should have put a different track on there. Like Panic would have been great on there, I think. But anyway, it's fine. It's from my favorite record of the Smiths. It's a good song. It just is a little not deep, and it's a little, it just doesn't really work as well. Some other tracks. Number 52 from Meat is Murder is Barbarism Begins at Home, 1985, which I think is the first single from this record. Now, the weird thing is, I don't know if the single was edited because the album version is 7 minutes long, which is a really long track. I think maybe too long. It has a good groove. I think someone referred to it as white funk. I mean, it is a really great sound, and it's got about a pretty serious issue of child abuse. So he talks about unruly boys and unruly girls, and that may be autobiographical as well, because I don't think he enjoyed school, and it has a tie-in with the headmaster ritual as well. But he sings a crack on the head is what you get for not asking, and a crack on the head is what you get for asking. So you can't get it right. You're just going to be get a crack on the head, or you get your knuckles rapped. So an important statement, and it's not a bad song. I just find it a little too long, and it doesn't really float any higher than that. Number 51 from the debut record is I Don't Owe You Anything from 1984. I would say, again, that song is probably a little bit too long. I'm not sure the production is the greatest in the world. It's very mellow. I mean, all these early Smith songs I really, really like because it reminds me of the time that I first heard the Smiths. Now, what is this song about? And that is a funny thing because it depends who you ask. Some people would say it's about unrequited love. Some people would say it's about a seduction that took place because of the presence of alcohol. Because the first line is bought on stolen wine. There is. I did read something that apparently there's a book about the Moors murders and or about the Smiths that references the Moors murders, and they claim that the song is about the early relationship between Maya Hindley and Ian Brady, who were, I guess, the Moors murderers. I don't know if that's true, but he sings, "A nod was the first step. You knew very well what was coming next." Reference to intimacy, I suppose. Did I really walk all this way just to hear you say, "Oh, I don't want to go out tonight"? That's yeah, so another Morrissey thing. And then he sings, "I don't owe you anything, but you owe me something. Repay me now," which I find is a really interesting line. So not a bad song. I really like it. It's just number 51. Number 50 is a track called "Back to the Old House," which appears in some places like Hatful of Hollow. Incidentally, it also appears on the flip side of What Difference Does It Make? And this is a really pleasant song for 1984. I really enjoy this one. I think it's also on Louder Than Bombs as well. It's a very wistful song, covered by Everything But the Girl at some point. I don't think I've heard that version, though. It's a song that kind of gets stuck in my head. It's about, I guess, a personal connection to someone from the past. And he sings, there's too many bad memories. He doesn't want to go back to the old house. And this is a really great verse here. "When you cycled by, here began all my dreams, the saddest thing I've ever seen. And you never knew how much I liked you because I never even told you." And you would think, was that because he's shy, typical Morrissey shyness, or what's going on there? But then the song kind of gets turned on his head because he keeps singing. He doesn't want to go back to the old house because there's all these bad memories. And then he sings, "I would love to go back to the old house." Maybe because he also says, "Are you still there or have you moved away?" So maybe there's this idea that he can go back and meet this person that he liked years ago. So this kind of, the song changes partway through. He doesn't want to go too many bad memories, but then, oh, well, I would love to go back and see if I can connect with this person. So I think that's a really great song. Number 49, back to Mita's Murder, the track called "Rush Home Ruffians," which is a really bizarre song in many ways. It's about a boy being beaten up at a fair. There's a line about a girl on a fair ride of some kind where her underwear is exposed. There's a lot of things happening in this song, and I'm not quite sure what to make of it, but the last night of the fair, by the big wheel generator, a boy is stabbed, his money is grabbed, and the air hangs heavy like a dulling wine. So, stabbing someone, we have blood again from, we had the hatchet earlier, the death at one's elbow. He talks about the fact that someone has an engagement ring, but it doesn't really mean anything. At one point he sings, "She said, how quickly would I die if I jumped from the top of the parachute?" So another reference to death, suicide. And then there's sort of adolescent kinds of views of relationships, like "Scratch my name on your arm with a fountain pen. That means you really love me." So a lot is happening here. I don't really know what the real story is there, but it is very interesting and not bad. Number 48 is a track called "Rubber Ring," which appears on Louder Than Bombs, "The World Won't Listen." It's also a B track to "The Boy with a Thorn in His Side." Again, more nostalgia. The lyrics are kind of obscure, and I think there's some conversations about what it actually means. I've read things about, well, it means the rubber rings are really about a turntable in music, because after all, the song does make a lot of references to music. And other people saying, no, the rubber ring is a life preserver that you would throw into the water to drag someone out. He does sing about music, though, but don't forget the songs that made you smile and the songs that made you cry. So that's kind of, suggestive that he's singing about songs. But he sings this refrain, "Rubber ring, rubber ring, rubber ring, rubber ring." And so I don't know what the actual meaning of it is. At some point he says, "When you lay in awe on the bedroom floor and said, 'Oh, oh, smother me, mother.'" Who knows relationship with his mother? I'm not sure. It's a good song. I really like it. It's very mellow, but really infectious. Number 47, I have chosen from Strange Ways Here We Come. Stop me if you think that you've heard this one before. The fourth single, I think the final single from that record. Now, when I first heard, here's a funny story about the first time I heard that song. I had it on CD. I think it's bought it very early on. And I thought that it was Morrissey singing to his fans, stop me if you think that you've heard this one before, because maybe his singing sounds the same, maybe the music sounds the same, maybe the songs are simply the same themes over and over again. So stop me if you think that you've heard this one before. But apparently it's about a drunkard who is explaining to his wife why he wasn't home on time, or where he had been all that time, and he's saying to her, if you've heard this excuse before, I'll come up with another one. So that's apparently the real meaning of the song, which surprised me. But there's some great lines in here, like nothing's changed. I still love you. Oh, I still love you. Only slightly less than I used to, my love, which I think is fantastic. Yeah, I still love you, just not quite as much as usual as before. And then at number 46, a track called The Hand That Rocks the Cradle from the debut record. Apparently the first song that Johnny Marr and Morrissey wrote together. Again, as half of these songs from the first record are really mellow, it's a mellow song. In my mind, it sounds a little bit like novice poetry. I think some things are overwritten. But the real question is, what is it about? And I don't think I know, because there's this idea that there might be something to do with parental love, like rocking the cradle. You do hear Morrissey singing about being a parent. He says, climb up on my knee, sonny boy. Although you're only 3, sonny boy, you're mine. Which I think is a weird thing to say, because the other tracks that he has mentioned children in are not great, like Suffer Little Children, about the death of children. This Night Has Opened My Eyes, about someone, we haven't come to that song yet, about someone who's deciding what to do with this child. So that's interesting to think about. But then there's the parts of it that, he uses the word pray in this song, which I think is the only time Morrissey's ever sung the word pray in the Smiths. But this verse kind of surprises me. A piano plays in an empty room. There'll be blood on the cleaver tonight. And when the darkness lifts and the room is bright, I'll be by your side for you are all that matters, and I'll love you till the day I die. Now, is he singing that to a partner or the child? I don't know. But the blood on the cleaver is really bizarre. We just had a stabbing in a previous song, and we've got blood on the cleaver. We had a hatchet in Death at One's Elbow, so it's a kind of a strange lyric. I don't actually know what's going on in the song. It's sometimes, the lyrics from Morrissey are very obvious, and sometimes they aren't, so I don't really understand that one entirely. Last track also from this record is Reel Around the Fountain, and I've said before that I think it's a weird opening track for a record because it's very mellow. It doesn't grab your attention like other tracks on this album would be better placed. So I think it's kind of an unassuming first track, and it's probably about a loss of innocence. We hear about taking a child and making him old. That could be a metaphor for, gaining some sexual experience, taking a child and making him old. Some people thought this was about child abuse. I don't really think that it is. And then he sings, 15 minutes with you, I wouldn't say no. That's a great line. My favorite line from this is probably, I dreamt about you last night and I fell out of bed twice, which I think is pretty awesome. You can pin me and you can mount me like a butterfly. So you can take that as actually mounting an insect, or maybe mount means something else. Then he sings, but take me to the haven of your bed was something that you never said. Again, sad, poor, pitiful Morrissey never got that invitation. There's been some discussion about 2 lumps, please, or the bee's knees. What are those lumps? That's another thing to think about. And then there's one comment I read years ago about Reel Around the Fountain actually being a sexual act, and I hadn't encountered that before. It could be, but we will see if that's true. I don't know. So there we have, that's number 45. Part 3 is done. Thanks for watching. I'd be interested to hear your comments, and see you next time.